Hey, how's it going? Art one. I, well, here's the deal. I had some issues, as you know, with the computer. I also don't live in Lancaster or Palmdale. I'm close to the fires. I don't live near. I, I'm up in the mountains, but I live close to Lake Hughes. So, the fires coming in. I had to also on my time off. I have to take care of my personal family business. So, this is what you guys are going to be doing. So, you already finished doing your sketchbook. Okay, just like the Art 2 students. It's something you do with advanced Art 2 students, but I think my Art 1 kids can handle it. So basically, this is what they did. They drew stippling, but you guys are not doing that. I have to teach you guys how to draw, and before you get to this level, like they did, okay, they did this. You guys are not doing this complicated stuff, but you need to know when we talk about a frame, how how do we position stuff? We call it juxtapositioning, and I'm going to be teaching you guys this our second week of school. So you're going to open up your portfolio. You're going to draw forms. If you've never drawn before, I'm going to teach you. Now, I tried using this camera. It works okay, like this camera on the laptop. Now I had to get it calibrated all day Saturday while I was doing my roof and my swamp cooler. Um, so basically, it works for long distance when 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It does record, but I can't do the up close. I was hoping it would, but so that's what happens when you buy stuff on the internet. They lie to you. So it works. It lets the camera relax. So I'm going to turn the camera around and open up your sketch portfolio for art. And it really looks, an art portfolio, it doesn't matter if it's homemade, it looks better. I know some people want to buy theirs, but honestly, you get more street creds when you make your own. So let's flip this around. Okay, it does. It means you can solve problems and you're motivated. So I kind of didn't go halfway. I went almost a little bit above. I don't want you guys. You're not doing the art stuff, the art 2 period class. We kind of kept our lines down here. But for you guys, you're going to be doing this right now. So before I get to the next step, and I know I have another video, I'm going to do a horizon line. Now, cool. Here's my this is called a vanishing point. Now, what do I have a soft L sketch in here? And I'm also using a number 2 graphite. Traditionally, the oldest way we've always drawn is charcoal. This graphite is actually found on the ground. You call it lead, but it's really not lead, it's graphite. And graphite was discovered by Bavarian monks in 1548 during the Renaissance, or actually the start of the Baroque period. And this made much easier to draw for us artists. We didn't have to rely on and architects and engineers. So basically, I'm going to keep it open so I can know what I'm working with you guys. So we are going to be using the art elements of line. So we put our name here. That's Navas. I'm going to put my last name. And we're going to do it in pencil first. This is called atmosphere. We'll label this later on. But let's just start working on this. I'm going to start drawing my cube. Now, there is something called shapes. A square is a shape. It has height and width. Okay, this is width, this is height. The problem is it doesn't have depth. We want to make it into a form. That's how we do it. So you guys are going to be drawing. So I did my first square. See that, guys? Okay, now halfway through this, you can measure it and you can divide it by half. That's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to divide it by half. So if you want to go by an inch, go for it. Okay, yeah, that's about it. To measure, if you've never done it before, if you've done this before, so you're going to put another square overlapping to make a cube. So we have 2 squares overlapping. See that, guys? Can you see that right here? So I'm doing my cube first. Okay. You see this. Now, I'm going to overlap this right here. Here we go. See that? You can do this too, but I really don't need that. I am now, I'm going to draw a cylinder here, but I'm going to show you how to do a cylinder. Actually, no. To make a circle, let's do a circle here. And I'm tracing this. You know what? I made a mistake. And this is why we draw with graphite. If we make any mistakes, we can always erase it. I'll tell you what. Here is the line. First, I did a line here. I just positioned it here. I did one going here. Now, why are we drawing these forms? Well, everything we draw or design, according to the artist Degas, he said everything that we draw and paint, it's basically a cube, a cone or a cylinder, and a sphere. He says that's what everything's made out of. If you can draw a cone, a sphere, and a cone, and a cylinder, he goes, you can draw anything. So right now, okay, I got my circle here. So let's say my light's coming from this reflection. So I guess we're going to have the light reflection coming from here. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm doing an arch line. See that? I arched it. That's the light reflection here. There we go. See that, guys? Okay. The cone. So I have this line here. Okay, I'm doing a line right now. I'm going to do a cross in the middle. I measured it already in my head. Then I do an almond shape. Okay. We still have this line going right here like this. Okay, see that? I have a cross here, or we call this an axis. And then I did my almond shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. And it's basically a 45-degree angle right now. 90 degrees right here. So yes, there's a lot of drawing uses a lot of geometry. See that, guys? And I'm going to pretend my light reflection is coming from here. So now that means let's do a cylinder. Except everything that's farther away from us is where should we place the cylinder? Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a line here. I'm going to do a small cylinder. A little bit further here. It's going to be smaller then, because everything that's closer to the horizon line shrinks in size. So same thing we did with the cone. See that? Okay, I'm going to do a line here. I'm going to go this way. It's easier for me if I do the almond shape and the axis. So now, and you can flip it around. Same thing I'm doing here, guys. You can do the same. So see that? And since this is pencil, I can make little mistakes. Right now, not happy with this. I'm going to do another almond shape here. Another one here. Oh, got my cylinder. See that? Okay, so now I'm going to teach you two types of. So we've been using two things. We've been spacing on the art element of space, where we position them or just position it. Let's call it just positioning. Okay, this is one-point perspective because we have one vanishing point. And we use the art elements of lines. We call this a horizon line. Horizon line. Put a dot here. And we're doing this in pencil first because it's much easier. Now, here's the deal. My light's coming from here. Later on, I'm going to draw a sun here, a setting sun here. So let's pretend here's our sun first. We're going to make it nicer later on. So that means your light's coming from here. Now, you think the shadow for this is going to be circles. No. It's going to be elliptical. Not only do we have to focus on math, we have to focus on physics. So when they shot the first Apollo 11, when they shot the first rocket to the moon, they didn't go in a straight line or just a plain arch line. No. They went like a satellite. They actually went in elliptical. Even the Earth. So we're going to go this way. And this is called value scale. That's another art element we're going to study. I'm going to leave it here like this. I had a little messed up. And I should have flipped. See that? and sometimes shadows do not touch the object. Now, I'm going to make a note here. I'm going to teach you two forms of how to make shadow using line, the other element of line and value. This is called hatching. Just one. Hatching, hatching, and this is cross hatching. And this is the element of lines too. The elements of art actually jump back and forth and help each other out. They cross-pollinate. Okay, the arts elements are not principles of design. Principles of design work together. They actually, but the art elements build them up. See that? So you guys should be this far. So now I'm going to do my shadow here. So my line's coming here. I believe my shadow is going to go this way. And see that? Except it's not going to touch this portion. It's going to leave light bends. Okay, guys? Light bends. So I'm going to leave this open. See what I did? I'm not going to fill this in. So now I am going to use cross hatching. Now, if you don't have any ink pens at home right now, that's okay. Don't worry. We can still keep using the pencil. But if you have a pen, black or even blue will work. If you have red, I actually only like my AP students using red. The reason is that's a tradition from the Renaissance. Now, here's the thing. Just like in the moon, there's going to be a crescent shadow both on the cone and the sphere. The reason is because they're round objects. And I did put some samples earlier Monday morning to show you guys samples of what they're supposed to look like. Your shadow down here should be a little bit darker. Same thing down here. And the reason is we have a design principle called contrast. So as long as there's a white gap here, we know there's going to be a contrast between the shadow and this. So right now, I'd rather do this in pencil, I'll be honest with you guys. So, because we can handle the value. Notice I haven't erased too much. Okay, and that's okay. You want to hide, you don't want to erase too much. And I'm making this side darker because this is away from the light. And again, I'm thinking of a cone, and you really need a good eraser. You can have a little eraser, and I'm spraying out the lights. I'm using actually a lot of cross hatching right now. And notice I'm arching the lines. I'm not making them straight because that's the shape of the object, or the form, I should say, of my subject. Okay, and if you think this is kiddie stuff, no, it's not, guys. If you take a drawing class, this is the basics, the first day. Okay, so now I'm going to cheat. I'm going to flatten this out a little bit because I want to create a value. And maybe down here too. I want to just darken it more. You're not supposed to be doing this, but I'm treating it like charcoal. Even though it is not charcoal, but here we go. I'm going to still leave those hatching lines there, but I just want to emphasize more on this to give it a 3D look. See that, guys? I should stop right now here. And I noticed I should have put less down here. So using the eraser, you need a good eraser to do that. So we have our cone here, and I'm going to create a lighter gray here, not full dark like back here, just here. And I should just stop right now. See the cone? Now we're going to work on its shadow. So I'm going to start, this side's going to be darker because it's away from the light. Okay, guys, and down here. So I'm going to do this again. Not too much, just a little bit. Notice I just don't do the whole thing. Make this more hatching. There we go. See that? If you want to soften that up, go for it. I should have used a smaller. I'm going to see if this, how good is this? Okay, good, good. Sometimes you need the tip of the eraser to go in there. I was telling my Arts 2 students, and they heard this before, if I had them the year before. A lot of doctors and surgeons love to sketch. And the reason is it helps them exercise their scalpel technique when they operate and all that. So when they're not operating, but they like to sketch, believe it or not, landscapes, and if they want to forget about work, or they start sketching the organs. They're gonna be working on. So now, very carefully, do not, because this will smudge. Okay. And the reason we do it in pencil first, guys, is because if we make any little mistakes or you're not happy with it, you notice I'm going very soft. I'm arching this, but I'm going very soft. And I am now recalling what my boarding school art teacher had a problem with me. One of my flaws is I curve the lines a little bit. So I need to start sketching. Sketching is basically going like this, non-stop. You stop, go, stop, go, stop. And you kind of like figure it out, okay. So I'm going back to my hatching lines here, and I need to stop. And it's like a triangular thing here. Create. A little bit here. That's what's going on. There we go. I should just leave that and come back to this. So right now we're creating the same thing here, like we did up there. But since I left this blank here or separate, and I'm bringing it really close, but I got to be very careful. I might have to start sharpening. Pencil sharpeners. I would advise you get the smaller and the cheapest are the best. These fancy pencil sharpeners, guys, okay, they're you know, they're okay for office and stuff like that. And I grew up with those in school, but you don't want to use too much of that. There we go. There we go. It's okay to flip around like I'm doing right now, guys. It's actually highly encouraged. Okay. So this is like your beginning phrases, learning how to do your phrases before we get to more advanced stuff. And I know some of you guys have preliminary skills right now, but that's okay. There we go. And again, we're creating value. Value means when a shadow or dark goes from very dark to very light to almost not missing at all. There we go. There we go. See that, guys? So we're done with the cone, I think. Here's the tricky part. The sphere. The light's coming directly in here. The light should have been in the center, but I like the reflection here. Here's the deal. We're going to do a crescent, just like a crescent moon. This is going to be my dark side, just like we did here with the cone. And I'm going to be blunt with you guys. Cones are easier for me than spheres. So I'm going to start, again, I did my dark side, just a crescent. See how I did the shadow here? Now I'm going to go softer. I'm not pressing down. I'm going very soft. Okay. And you know what? I might just leave this in pencil. I don't think I'm going to do it in ink. You know, some people might want to. But I think I'm just happy the way bringing this up. Go very soft here. Move it around. It's a... And also, you need to know when to stop. And that's one of my flaws. If you think you've gone over, the great thing about graphite, charcoal's not that nice. Charcoal, and the reason we do it this way too, I'm teaching you guys how to use hatching. And my R2 kids did stippling is, because you guys are using hatching and cross hatching. In the old days, we would make, this is how you would also create it with a white wax on a copper plate to make printing. Now, my R2 students did it with stippling because stippling is how they reproduce photographs in the 1850s. So notice we have it here like this. I'm going to stop here. I don't know, maybe go a little bit softer here, a little bit softer. Spread out my lines more. Try to create that sphere look to it. Bring this over here again. And I'm going to have some issue right now. I just noticed that. And it's problem solving. Art is a lot of problem solving. Okay. So now I shouldn't be touching this shadow here. That's going to be my dark side of my shadow. And on top of that too, but not too. Okay, not too. Okay. So using my lines again, going to the tip of the pencil. Notice that, guys? I'm going to use this big eraser so I won't smear this. Just like a painter does with a painting, and a drawing artist does the same thing. He does make sure. So my shadow is going to be, let me go over here. This is going to be very soft here. Okay. And we're blending right now. This side's going to go darker than the top side. Yes, I'm going a little bit outside. This is going to be my darker side. And this is why it's more work with the sphere. I want to get that 3D look. Have this come out a bit more. So if you guys are into engineering and design, this helps a lot too. Because you have to make blueprints. Engineers have to make blueprints, especially for airplanes, cars, machinery. So right now we're creating a shadow here for this. Except I want to make sure there's a distinct level right now. Lets me know that the shadow is changing. There is a reflection of light. Everything that's blank here, guys, we refer to this as negative space. Everything that we have filled in already is called positive space. Anything that's in black is positive. Everything that's in white is called negative. And I'm going to stretch these out. So it's still, I'm doing hatching. I'm not using cross hatching, just hatching, but I'm curving the lines. Because same thing. So if you're a sculptor, you have to sketch out your project. And you're going to have to present to your patron, whoever's paying you to do it, you know, what it's going to look. I should have made the shadow a little bit. I'm going to cheat here. So there, we're pretty much done. I'm going to take a break from this. The Q, same thing here. See that, guys? So we got these three done. Okay, the Q, the shadow's going to go this way. It's going to go here, but this line's going to be parallel to this for this shadow. This line, same angle, it's going to go this way. Shadows, notice that, guys? And keep this parallel to this. And let's see if it looks decent. Okay, I can work with that. Except we don't want to touch the bottom of the Q. You want to keep a gap in there. Okay, keep a gap between here. Notice I left it blank here. So I'm going to darken this more. Whoops, I should have done this. Oh my God, I made a boo-boo here. No, because I forgot. We're going to make this side darker than this side. So we're going to create our shadow here very deep. I'm going to flip it around too. I know I'm not supposed to, I'm using a very thick line. Okay, here we go. Just like a triangular format, we're going to now go back to the tip. And we're going to start doing a little cross hatching. I'm going to follow this, go very soft on here. Okay. Same thing here. We've got to control, go soft first, and then you can press a little bit harder. Here we go. Okay. Remember, this is this week's art drawing project. I have to teach you guys at least the basic before we get any more complicated art projects. Even the sculptures ones, portions, you know. Okay. So right now what I'm doing is cross hatching to darken this side more. Okay, see that, guys? Okay. Now, I want to contrast this. That's a design principle. I'll talk much later on about that when we do Chapter 8, Principles of Design, which will probably be right before we do our first art element lines. I'm going to darken this a bit. So this one should be a little bit darkened. Okay, so I'm going to do the Q first. I'm going to go soft here too. Except I want this to contrast this side. And we want to hide that line in there too. Except I made a mistake here. And I'm paying for it right now. Where's my eraser at? Here it is. I'm going to have to redo this again. So I am going to emphasize the end of my box here. Not too much, but I got to blend that. Same thing with this shadow here. The reason is I want the light to bend a bit here. You guys see that? Let me show you what I did. I'm leaving like a line here of negative space or white paper, and because light bends, okay? So now I'm gonna start making this into a lighter gray than the other side. Okay, so I'm cross-hatching. I've already gone hatching, but I am going cross-hatching. I'm gonna darken this edge more, letting me know this side is a little bit darker than this side. And I think I should stop here, but I'm gonna blend this more. Okay, down here too, because it's gonna get darker there. Not too dark. I don't wanna. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. The shadow down there. And if you want to erase this, because you want the light hitting it, then re-emphasize this. Follow this line here. Follow the surface of your cube here, and there you go. Some people will want to touch this up with ink again. You will have to follow the same procedure, hatching and cross hatching. So now I'm doing this shadow. I'm going to, so the higher up I go, the lighter I go, the closer I get to the edge, the darker I go. I need to be careful because I don't want to make this too dark. There we go, and I'm going to stop there. Blend this into the line. I like to blend that into the line a bit more. There we go. I think we're good. I think we're good with the cube right now. Okay, so good. So I'm kind of, see that guys, how it's coming out? And like I said, I was hoping that camera would have been a close-up, but it didn't work. So again, be careful what you buy online. Okay, I know right now the 99-cent stores has a really good deal, and so does Walmart for colored pencils and crayons. I'm more partial to colored pencils, but crayons too. Here's the deal: if you buy crayons, you're going to use them in art school. The reason they are so popular among kindergarten teachers, I'll tell you why. Most kindergarten teachers, when I was a kid, were art majors. They graduated from college or university. They couldn't get a job in the industry, either in publishing or editing. And they just got their then went for 2 years for a teacher credential thing, and that's how they ended up. So that's when I was a kid. Now very few kindergarten teachers have an art degree, which is sad. So here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to emphasize just here in the center my shadow, okay? Because this is going to, whoops, okay, create some, this, for some reason, sphere objects do a weird reflection. See that? We'll leave it like that. It looks like the Looney Tunes beginning. So now I have, so we're done with the cube. Now let's finish the cylinder. So here's our cylinder. I'm going to trace it. And same direction of light. It's going to go this way, just like the cone down here. Except the shadow's going to be going here. It's going to create an arch. You're going to have to arch it. Okay, guys? And just like we did, we're going to have a little separation first. Don't worry if it goes too large. See that? See that? See that, guys? Okay. And notice I haven't erased anything. I leave my lines till the last minute. This side's going to be much darker, okay? If it's a cylinder, like a Coca-Cola can. And then down here, it's going to darken. And I'm arching my lines. Okay. I'm starting really deep here at a distance. And then I'm going to go up here very light. And then come back here to this edge. This edge. Now, when we paint, it's the opposite. We leave this side very light. Okay, so I should darken this more. The reason I'm not using a lot of lines here, because the object is actually farther away from us. Anything that's close to the horizon line should look like at a distance. Okay, guys, see that? And we have less detail. I'm going to come in and erase some of this stuff because honestly, it didn't come out like I should have. So now you seem very light gray. I'm going to just gray it out for you guys. Okay, I'm going with the big one right now. No, I'll go with the little one because we see is a corner very smoothly. So the eraser is also your other tool. It helps you tone it down a bit. Bring in the line. There we go. It looks like a can now. A can. And then I'm going to follow the shadow here. And if we were painting, we would leave this lighter, like a light reflection. Also, when you do, if we had more, it was larger. So now I'm leaving the line here. Okay, I'm going to focus more on here. I'm going to get closer, but not too close. Because I want to have some contrast. No attachment, contrast. So you don't want it to attach it so you can have a contrast between one object and the other. That little negative space in there lets us know, you know, that it's the shadow. And I think we're done. Now here's the trick. So here's my sun. You can draw a sun any which way you want. I don't like the hairy thing. I'm going to make it look like one of these late French Renaissance tapestry suns with flames. There we go. And we're not fully done yet. Because this is not only just your drawing book, it's your sketchbook, okay? So here's where you're going to keep all your little secrets. So, and if you want to trace it in ink, I'm okay with it. So this is what we call a vanishing point. Let's leave that here. This is a vanishing point. We can call it one vanishing point or actually single. Let me just write over this. So this is my single vanishing point, which I'm hiding. This is called cross hatching. And these are lines. Okay, I'm not writing that because hatching lines and hatching lines. Okay, now this is called a frame. Even though we don't have a frame on it, it's been framed. And basically, we call this foreground. Everything I put here is in the foreground. Okay, so when you look at a painting, when somebody talks about the foreground, we know they're talking about this. This is called the middle ground. The reason I jumped around is because I didn't have room. Middle ground. Barely squeezed that in there. This is the background right here. That's your horizon line. This is your horizon line. So this is your background. Back here. Background. So we go foreground 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is our vanishing point. So I'm going to call it vanishing point. I might leave the lines there. It's getting it was too sloppy. It was bothering me. So let's call this vanishing point. We only have one, so we know it's single. It's called perspective drawing, actually. Point. This would be a single point, or this is called atmosphere, right here. All of this above it's called atmosphere. Although we do subdivide in R2. Okay, and what we've done is something called a value scale, except I'm going to erase this right now because I need this space right now. Okay, so this is called cross hatching. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave my hatching lines here. So I'm going to call this hatching lines. Cross hatching. As part of the art element of lines, but also value. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to show you how to do a value scale. So we're going to do it of 9. So So right now I'm measuring the European side, or the millimeters, I call it. Although I was born in California, I am a European citizen. So we're gonna make a 9 scale value scale. If you've had art before in middle school, I don't know if your teacher has taught you that, but California standards, we need to know this. And we do this also with paint, color. So this is going to be my dark side. This is going to be my full, complete dark side. Nothing, no light. That's a value scale. Okay, you've done this already. Here I am going to use cross hatching. 1, 2, 3. So this is my period. It's going to be my very light, the lightest I can do. It's going to get darker here more. Okay, not too much, but this is going to get a little darker than the other one. And I am using hatching lines. Okay. I'm going to have to start pressing a little bit harder down here. Always start the darker side from the bottom up. Whoops, I am getting really, really darker. So that means it's always good to start from the top. Yeah. So I created a value scale. You guys can't see it too well right now. So this goes from levels 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a value scale. Value scale. Okay, now here's a trick also. I'm going to draw little birds. Everything that's close to a horizon line shrinks. Okay, they're very small. But the higher we keep getting, the bigger the bird gets. See that? Same thing with clouds. I'm going to show you guys how to draw clouds. Just like the sphere. I'm going to draw them. Okay, yeah. Anything that's underneath here. Okay. I'm only doing lines down here, very soft, because this is where our light's coming from, our light source. Okay, so I'm arching lines. And then when I flip it around, my clouds are going to be darker up here because a little bit more here. Farther away from the light, and I'm using arches. It's not one of my best clouds, I have to admit. So again, same thing like the bird principle. Any cloud we arch. Okay, so this cloud's a little bit higher. So it's going to go soft, and then here it's going to be darker. Notice I'm arching my lines. I'm using hatching, but I'm arching my lines. Okay, lines do arch, they bend, you know, and I'm sketching. Whoops, this side should be darker because my light's down here. And don't make your arch lines touch each other, because clouds, they're gas. They're actually, so here you guys go, like I said. You see that, guys? Okay, so this is your project for, and notice how I labeled them in the other one too. So this is what your first step for drawing. Try to draw these guys, okay? So, whoops. So try to get this done for this week, our second week of school. I'll talk more about this. Look at the other 2 worksheets. Look at the other video I set up for you guys, and try to get the work done. Okay. Oh, yours came out shorter than 2 hours almost for the Oh, and there's another method. I'm gonna grab some toilet paper. Yes, toilet paper. I'll show you why. And if you have some tape, that will work great. Grab 2 sheets of toilet paper. Okay. Sometimes, if you can open the sheets of paper, because sometimes they're attached to each other. Do they happen? No. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape here. And the reason I'm doing this, instead of wax paper, you guys can have toilet paper and that actually protects your drawing, the graphite. You didn't know that? You guys are saying, okay, don't get all fancy schmancy. Sometimes when you get some sketchbooks, they don't come with that soft tissue paper. So let me show you what I'm doing. Should have taught this to my Art 2 kids, but I'm going to have to do that live for them. So I'm going to right here to the edge. Okay, that's first sheet of paper. And we're doing this so all our drawing we did in pencil will not, in our notebook. So we'll put this here. Whoops, bet you couldn't do that at school. Okay. It's not stuck on my finger. It worked great the first time when I did it many years ago. And there you go. Is that the one sheet? Yeah. So what this does is two things, guys. It protects your artwork. See that? And if it does start breaking, grab some more tape. Which I'm doing right now. Oh boy. Because usually on really good sketchbooks, that's when you become a really good artist and you're in your graduate program, your master's artist program, your master's studio. That's when you want to get the good sketchbook. Because your professor's going to ask you to do that. But right now you're in high school and this is your first resume. And there you go, and it protects it, okay? So there, just like it, you're professionals now. There you go. So you have your clouds. I'm looking at them, they reminded me of UFOs. And we have our notes, how to position stuff. And there you guys go, Art 1. Okay, this is what you guys did. You used lines instead, okay? So label your stuff, okay? If you want to trace it later on with ink and cover it up, you can do that too. But talk to me either from 1 to 3 on that, or yeah, just talk to me in 1 to 3. There you go, guys. Okay. So that's our art project for week number 2. That doesn't mean we're going to be doing that. We're also going to be doing some perspective drawing. I do have a workbook I made myself, but don't worry about that one. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to upload the videos today, Sunday. Take care, guys.